Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome, everyone. So glad you're with us. So glad you braved the Los Angeles traffic on Friday at 5 p.m. It's brutal. And for all of us, it was a hard week, I think. I think it was a hard week to be an American. I think it was a hard week to be a Los Angelino. And I think it was a challenging week just to be a human. And so Shabbat is, our ancient rabbis, when they continued the tradition of Shabbat, I'd like to think that they were wise because they gave us one day a week where we can just breathe. We can just sit. We can breathe in and breathe out. The Hebrew word Shabbat just means, in its most ancient root, to sit. And that's what we do. We sit, we dwell, we spend time. And so on this Shabbat, my hope is that we can sit and we can spend some time with one another in family, in friendship, in community, with new friends, with old friends, and be together and acknowledge the moment that we're in right now. This evening we'll begin in our prayer book on page 10 with the words of the psalmist, Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is and how pleasant it is that we are able to shevet, that we are able to Shabbat together. Page 10.
How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. So sometimes I think, well, I would say it's been more difficult lately to go through our lives all that easily. That life tends to bring us joys, of course, but as of late, life has been incredibly difficult for so many of us and for this community. And I'm always really curious about poets and unknown poets, and I found this woman, her name is Courtney Peppernell, and she has written several books of poetry. And I saw this poem, and it's called The Swing. I want to share it with you all. On a warm fall day, I greeted life in my front yard. Spread out across the lawn was a pile of different things, some timber, some rope, some nails and tools. And I asked life, "What are you doing?" And life told me, "I'm building you a swing." Excited, I rushed over and began to pick up various things. "Wait," life instructed. "Let us take our time." So bit by bit, life began to construct the swing, back and forth with the tools, hammering away at the timber, carefully threading the rope. And moments went by, one long, drawn-out hour after the next. "Surely it does not take this long to build a swing," I said, and I sat down with a sigh. But life continued building the swing, slowly putting each piece together with care, until finally it was finished. And moving aside, life offered me a hand. "Here," said life, "you take the first ride." So on the swing I went, and life gave me a nudge. And up into the air I rose with the wind in my hair and the sunshine on my nose. "I feel like a bird," I called, as I reveled in all the clouds dancing across the sky. "Yes," smiled life, "for if we are not patient, then we will never be able to fly." May we awake tomorrow morning and greet life like a swing, allowing us to slowly and surely pick up the pieces and know that life takes time. So we'll join together on page 344. Oh, we were doing that one. As we sing together, Shir Chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Ladon.
do some prayer book acrobatics. We'll turn back to page 20. This is our prayer, Lecha Dodi, and before we sing it, Lecha Dodi, it's all about welcoming and greeting Shabbat. And so it reminds me that we have this blessing of having an opportunity to welcome one another. And so before we sing Lecha Dodi, I'll invite us to turn to someone next to us, bonus points if you've never met them before, and introduce yourselves and wish one another a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We're on page 20. Page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad yishmi'anu el hameyuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela. לקראת שבת לכו ונלחם, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה. lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה.
Verse 5.
התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה. lecha Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה.
We'll rise and we'll face the entrance of our sanctuary.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה.
remain standing, we'll turn to page 28 for our Baruchu. This is a relatively new tune, and we'll teach it tonight.
New-ish, I think. So it starts as a nigun, and then the words will mimic the nigun. So once you start to hear it, it goes like this. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Try that. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Next part starts the same way. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Let's do that. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Let's do the whole thing. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
In the middle of page 31, this is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Our Shema can be found on page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Words to prepare for Michamocha, which is found on page 40, are on page 39 at the top. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40.
באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נעדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף פלא, נורא תהילות אוסף פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, Each Friday night, we have the opportunity, and actually every night, but in particular while we're together here on Shabbat, we have the opportunity to say a prayer that I don't think I will ever take for granted, and I don't think most of you will either. Our Hashkivenu prayer is when we ask God for peace, but for safety and protection. And we know that many in our community are dealing with the aftermath of the horrific fires that occurred so recently, and that their roofs no longer are there. Their protection and their safety is no longer there. And so I think even more so, the fact that we can be here together in a place that is your home, that you walk in here and so many of you have experienced so many of the wonderful things in life at this synagogue and this community, that we can be here together and feel that safety and that protection, that maybe it's not the physical structure around us, but that it's the feeling and the spirit that exists. And so when we sing this prayer today, I invite us all to just take that feeling into our hearts, to think about people you know who are trying to pick up the pieces of their life. So let's join together on our supplemental sheet at the bottom right-hand side of the page in our Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu we wake with morning's light. Teach us not wrong from right. Amen. Amen.
Amen. On page 46, we'll turn in our Sidurim. This is the beginning of our tefillah, our Amidah. It's our standing prayer. So in all the ways that we're able, I'll invite us to rise. The first 4 prayers we'll do together in consecutive pages. And following that, it's an opportunity for silent reflection of either the prayers in the prayer books, or any prayers or meditations or thoughts that you have on the insides of your hearts and souls. When you are finished, we'll be seated. Page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu. Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi geula livnei bneihem, Lema'an shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom, yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם מלאכי השרת, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shabbat Shalom. It's hard to believe that January ends tonight because I don't think I'm the only one in this room who thinks that this month has felt longer than 31 days. We are almost there. In the early hours of January 1st, in the city of New Orleans, there was mass tragedy. There were fires in our own city and caused devastation continuing to this day, impacting thousands. There have been executive orders ostracizing and harming marginalized peoples in the United States and across the world. There is a ceasefire among Israel and Hamas, and there are questions of whether or not it will hold. This month has certainly felt longer than 31 days. For some, January has been a dark month. We read in Torah this Shabbat the story of God raining down 10 plagues upon the Egyptians as Pharaoh refuses to let the Israelite people go. The 9th plague in the middle of our parsha is the plague of darkness. Torah describes the plague, but it's not in great detail. This is all we have. God says to Moses, "Hold out your arm toward the sky, that there may be darkness upon the land of Egypt, a darkness that can be touched." And so Moses held out his arm toward the sky, and thick darkness descended upon all the land of Egypt for 3 days. People could not see one another, and for 3 days no one could move about, but the Israelites enjoyed light in their dwellings. That's it. Then on to the next plague. And so, since our medieval and modern rabbis and scholars did not have much content to work with, they posited their own understandings on the story. One says it was a darkness filled with gloom. Another, it was a darkness more dark than the normal dark of night. And the darkness was so thick that it doubled and redoubled until it became tangible. And the last one, it was a darkness that one can feel. My favorite comes from contemporary biblical scholar Aviva Zornberg. She discovers this ancient midrash that speaks to this double darkness. There was absolute immobility. Those who sat could not stand, and those who stood could not sit. What she is teaching us is that even if an Egyptian lived in the highest court, was sitting on a throne with wealth and power, they could not stand up. They were affected. Our darkness over the past 31 days, too, I think has been tangible, so much so that every single person in this room and every single person with us via live stream has either been affected this month or knows someone who has been affected. What is the felt sense of darkness that we are touching? What is it we are sensing? I've heard many takes this month. Some say trauma. Some say fear. Some say helplessness. I believe all are present, but what I am not often hearing, and I think is important to mention, is grief. The overwhelming sense of loss that so many have encountered over the past 31 days has been profound. Grief is not for just when a loved one dies. Grief is trying to make sense of what doesn't make sense, and it doesn't end up working. It's like losing a person, a job, a home, memories, an entire neighborhood, an iconic landmark that you love. It could be losing a bar mitzvah celebration in your own synagogue walls, losing the belief that society is making ever forward progress, the hope that our children would only face one crisis in their young lives. In mass tragedy, I have found that it is easy to judge others' grief, and it is also easy to judge our own. That's not to say that all grief is equal. It is more to say that it is easy to feel frustrated with what other people are upset about, and it is easy to feel shame about our own felt experience. There is no antidote. There is no making okay what is not okay. And there is no taking back and reclaiming this month. It is January 31st. And so we must grieve. But there is no one right way to grieve. Our grief feelings are moving and churning and shifting, deeply personal to our own experience. Our grief feelings may emerge as sadness for what is lost, anger for what got us here, rage when we might be misunderstood, fear for what comes next, horror or confusion about why me or why them or why now, fixation on a particular detail or memory, guilt. Grief might be guilt when we know others are suffering more. frustration when bureaucracy and media and politics intrude on what is sacred, exhaustion that we will rebuild months and years later, numbness when there is too much pain to hold. We might feel yearning for a better day ahead, or resilience when we feel ready to move forward, or compassion for those who need it. Grief might be admiration for those who step up, or appreciation for those who support us. Grief sometimes might come across as gratitude for what we still have, or hope in what can be. All of this is grief. It's messy, it's big, and as soon as we think we've got it figured out, it shapeshifts like a cloud and shows up in different places. Where do we go when we grieve? In Jewish tradition, we grieve in a family's living room. We sit Shiva on the ground. We can also go to a cemetery. And personally, we can grieve when we witness photos and videos on a phone, or read emails from long ago, or listen to a song exchanged years ago. We can grieve in that special place with the cool breeze and the trees that we remember, a place that might feel lonely at times, a synagogue, a shared sacred space, and inside our own minds or our own gut, sometimes when we feel it in our stomach. Long after writer and meaning maker Pico Iyer evacuated his home 30 years ago from a fire in Santa Barbara, he reflects today. What's precious about us is our brokenness, our woundedness, our hurts, the fact that we are human. For us today, the opportunity that we have is twofold. First, to make space for our own grief. And second, to have grace for the grief of others. There might not be making sense of what doesn't make sense, and yet we are compelled to try. Otherwise, we shy away from our true selves. We are compelled to make meaning as human beings, and one day we might. And if we can't yet, that's okay too. But when we make space for our own grief, we begin the process of healing. Our Talmud teaches that if a person feels deeply afflicted, whether from suffering an illness or experiencing immense loss in a family, it is the Jewish responsibility not to say, God will be with you, or have confidence, everything will be fine. In contemporary society, it's not good to say that either. Instead, it is the Jewish responsibility to have grace for the suffering of others, to listen, to reach out and listen. When we have grace for the grief of others, we also initiate the process of healing. Amidst this plague of darkness, I pray that we can all make space for our own grief, and we can have grace for the grief of others. May January end quietly and bring about a safe and restorative February. Shabbat Shalom.
We have a great power as people to help others in their times of need, in their times of great pain and sorrow, like so many are feeling right now. And it's our duty not just as Jews, but as human beings, to reach out to those who are in need of healing, be it of body or of mind or of spirit. So if you're thinking of anybody today, we invite you to share their names out loud with us so that we can take them all into our hearts. And if there's no one that you're thinking of specifically today, just start thinking about healing the world. We need it. I'll start over here. Yeah, Alex. Join together in our prayer for healing. You can find it in the middle of page 253. I invite us to join together.
Our concluding service can be found on page 282. In all the ways that we're able, I'll invite us to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Words to prepare for Mourner's Kaddish are not found in the prayer book. Sometimes something clicks, and with a tear, remembrance of the pain and the loneliness flood my heart. Sometimes something clicks, and with a smile, remembrance of the love and the laughter flood my senses. And there are times when nothing clicks at all, and a voice echoes through the emptiness and numbness, never finding the person who used to fill that space. And sometimes the most special times of all, a feeling ripples through my body, heart, and soul that tells me that person never left me, and they're right there with me through it all. As we recite Mourner's Kaddish this evening, we especially remember Dorothy Adler, Robert Bieber, Marion Blanton, Donald Brill, Richard Bud Brown, Jack Cohn, Annette Korn, Bella Desser, Carl Ellman, Ruth Glucksman, Manny Goldberg, Adrian Goldberg, Richard A. Goodman, Glenn Gottlieb, Harold Green, Jesse Goldenberg Greenberg, L. James Grold, Yona Kaland, Benjamin Klinger, Alfred Kobecker, Stanley Lappin, Nathan Levy, Arthur Love, Jack Martyr, Celia Michaelov, Ned Miller, Richard Nave, Stephen Novum, Donald Oshman, Genevieve Oros, John Michael Oros, Anna Plotkin, Lillian Powers, Harold Price, Matthew Rosalski, Rosalie Sachs, Clyde Schuster, Dr. Sam Schrag, Selma Silverblatt, Harriet Soros, Samuel Soger, Martha Windholtz. If there are others whom you're remembering on this Shabbat, or if I mispronounced the name of your loved one, I'll invite you to rise and share their names with us. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 294, and all the ways that we're able will rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chiruteh v'amlich malchuteh, B'chayechon u'biyomechon, u'b'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmeh Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, Vit Adar, Vit Ale, Vit Alal, Shmeh Dekudsha, Brichu, Laila min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbahata v'nechamata, Damiran ba'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya, V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the Holy Blessed One who lives in the high realms bring peace and harmony and love to us in this realm. We'll all say together.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh, say shalom b'roma. Booyah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru, imru. Amen. Oh, say shalom b'roma. Booyah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol
Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.